Never start a business with your best friend. That's the one piece of advice I wish someone had drilled into me. Because I trusted mine, I joined the company as a co-founder, bringing my technical skills and a patented idea to the table. We barely got off the ground before it happened. My so-called best friend and the woman I loved turned on me. They schemed behind my back, forced me out of my own company, and left me drowning in debt. The weight of betrayal was too much. I jumped. But fate had other plans. Now, I'm back, alive again. Standing in the exact moment it all began. Vanessa, my girlfriend, is wrapped around my arm. Across from us sits Marcus, sipping his coffee and throwing glances her way. I catch the look between them. That same look from before. A cold smile creeps across my lips. Didn't expect this, did you? I came back. This time, I'm not handing out forgiveness. I'll make sure both of you beg, on your knees. My name is Ethan. My girlfriend's name is Vanessa. And the guy sitting across from us right now, casually sipping his overpriced latte, is Marcus. The three of us met freshman year through a campus club. We clicked fast. Back then, I was already coding like crazy, and by sophomore year, I'd developed a simple mobile game. Nothing fancy, but it had a loyal little following on campus. It even earned me some pocket change. Then came junior year, when everything changed. Marcus played matchmaker, and soon Vanessa and I were a couple. From that moment on, she began nudging me, subtly at first, then more directly. "Why don't you team up with Marcus?" she'd say. "You're great at making games, but Marcus knows marketing, and his family's got money. With him on board, your game could go big. You'd reach real players, make real money." Then she'd lower her voice, rest her head on my shoulder, and whisper. "And we could finally afford the kind of life we want. A real apartment. A car. Maybe even a place of our own after we get married." I was young. Naive. In love. Vanessa's words felt like a dream. A promise. And Marcus? He wasn't just a club buddy. He was the student body president. Everyone liked him. He could talk to anyone, sell anything. Honestly, I admired him. So when they brought up the idea of starting a company together, I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. Just like that. I handed over the reins of my game to Marcus. He took charge of operations, and we signed a contract. I contributed the tech and intellectual property in exchange for a 50% stake in the company. Things took off fast. The game surged in popularity, climbing from a few thousand players to tens of millions in under 2 years. We secured funding, scaled the team, and the company raked in profits. Marcus was the face of it all. The operator. The dealmaker. The one shaking hands in every room. And me? I was buried in code. Managing updates, fixing bugs, building features, completely in the dark about everything else. I trusted him. I trusted her. Which is how I ended up signing dozens of documents I didn't fully understand. Vanessa would sit beside me, whisper encouragements, stroke my arm, kiss my cheek. "It's just legal stuff," she'd say. Marcus took care of the details. "Just sign it, babe." So I did. Those signatures were my undoing. Buried in those contracts was a clause that stripped me of my equity. The patents I created? Signed away. My rights? Forfeited. My name? Erased from the company I built. By the time I realized, it was too late. The debt crushed me. The betrayal broke me. And I jumped. But that was then. Now, I sit across from them, again. The same coffee shop, just outside our office building. Vanessa's voice floats through the air, light and cheerful. "Marcus, you've been amazing. This company wouldn't have gotten this far without you. Marcus laughs, all modesty and faux humility. Oh please, the real genius is Ethan. He looks at me now, holding out a stack of papers. I've just got a few things here I need you to sign. We're gearing up for the IPO. Once we go public, we're all going to be millionaires. Vanessa tightens her grip around my arm, giving it a little shake as she leans in with a pout. Sign them already. Then let's go celebrate at the bar, just the three of us. I stare at the stack. Right there on top, I recognize it. A familiar contract. The same one from last time, the one where I voluntarily handed over my shares. Last time, I signed it. Blinded by trust. Blinded by love. But this time? Not a damn chance. I glanced at Marcus. That ever-present grin of his was in full bloom. He looked relaxed, confident, like a man who knew I wouldn't read a single page of what he was about to hand me. And truthfully, he wasn't wrong. Back then, I barely glanced at contracts. I was buried in development, coding all night, obsessing over bug fixes, burning myself out to give our players the best possible experience. When Marcus slid over yet another stack of paperwork, I didn't even want to look at it. There were nights I wished I could just say, "Can you guys just sign for me, and be done with it?" I used to tell him the same thing over and over again. You take care of growth and operations. Just leave the gameplay to me. And to be fair, he did. He was about to take the company public, after all. Maybe it was the hesitation in my hand, the silence that stretched a little too long, but Vanessa nudged me. "Babe, hurry up," she said, dabbing at her lipstick with a compact mirror, not even looking at me. Marcus leaned forward, eyebrows raised, trying to sound casual. "Something wrong?" he asked. I shook my head. "Nothing's wrong. I'm just tired. Let's deal with it tomorrow." I added a yawn for effect and slumped back in my chair. Marcus sipped his coffee, trying not to let the tension show. "It's just a signature. Won't take long. You know we're getting ready to go public, everything's got to be tight. Missing a deadline now could mess things up later." I stood up. "No rush," I said. "Tomorrow's fine. My head's killing me, I'm gonna go lie down." I turned and headed for the door. Vanessa caught up with me a second later, heels clicking behind me. "Hey," she said, slipping into a softer tone. "Are you okay? Should I take you to urgent care or something?" I looked at her. Caked in makeup, mascara thick, lips too red. She looked concerned, but I'd seen that look before. "No," I said flatly. "I just need to rest." She offered to drive me home. I waved her off. "Go have fun with Marcus," I said. "You both deserve a break. It's been a stressful run." She smiled, a little too easily, and I walked away. Last time, I was naive enough to believe there was nothing going on between them. I thought the three of us had a perfect balance, a kind of friendship that could weather anything. I never questioned the late-night meetings, the private chats, the inside jokes. But the truth? They'd been screwing around since college. Behind my back. Under my nose. I'd been wearing that damn crown of thorns for years and didn't even know it. And in the end? They didn't just steal my company. They framed me, dragged my name through the mud, got me locked up. The shame. The betrayal. The ruin. It crushed me. Until I jumped. But this time? I know everything. Let them screw around. Let them think they're getting away with it. In fact, I wanted them to. I was handing them the perfect setup, one last night to play their little game. Because I had somewhere to be. Somewhere important. I had a war room to prepare. Sure enough, as soon as I said I was heading home, Vanessa didn't even hesitate. "All right, babe. You go rest, she said sweetly. Marcus and I are just gonna grab a couple drinks. I'll be home early. Text me if you need anything, okay? Of course, I replied with a smile. She leaned in, kissed my cheek, then turned and sauntered toward the curb in her tight dress and 5-inch heels. Seconds later, she was sliding into Marcus's bright red Ferrari. Bought with the profits from my game. A low growl of the engine followed by a burst of sound. The car shot off down the street. I stood there for a beat, watching them disappear into the city night. Then I smirked. Perfect. I headed to my own car, an Audi parked just down the block, and made my way home. The loft I pulled into was one of the Riverside units. Back when I was flush with startup cash, I dropped nearly $10 million on the place. But here's the kicker, the deed was in Vanessa's name. She said it was romantic. Said it proved I loved her. I believed her. Now I lived in $1 million cage I no longer owned. Everything looked polished on the outside, but I was broke, stripped of everything that was mine. Well, almost everything. They forgot about the code. The game was still mine. And that was my ace. They thought they'd won. But I had the one thing they didn't expect. A plan. I sat down at my desk and pulled up my laptop. First step, secure the upgrade package. The one I'd been quietly working on for months. These updates weren't just patches. They were game changers, code that could shift the entire player experience. Monetization models, algorithmic tweaks, behavioral metrics, all optimized and tested. I backed it up to an encrypted drive, triple-checked the files, then wiped everything else clean. I left behind only what I wanted them to find. Bait. I worked through the night. No distractions. No noise. Just me, the code, and the sharp edges of memory keeping me focused. By the time the door clicked open, it was around 2:30 a.m. Vanessa was home. I shut the laptop and stepped out of the study. She stumbled in, smelling like top-shelf tequila and someone else's cologne. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes glassy. There were red scratch marks along her neck, fresh ones. I didn't need to ask where she'd been. Didn't need to imagine what she'd been doing with him. My stomach twisted, but I swallowed it down. Not now. Revenge needs precision. Not anger. She looked up at me, blinking like she'd forgotten I even lived here. I smiled faintly. Rough night? I asked. She laughed, slurred something I didn't bother to catch, and kicked off her heels before stumbling toward the bathroom. I watched her go. And I didn't say a word. Back then, I genuinely believed I had never wronged Vanessa, not once. I was loyal. Devoted. It was her idea for me to team up with Marcus. She said it would be good for me, good for us. So I did it, I handed over the rights to my game and joined forces with him. Every cent I earned from the company, I gave to her without hesitation. Car, condo, vacations, all under her name. She said it was easier that way. Said it made her feel secure. Now, she owns multiple properties. A garage full of imported cars. And me? I buried myself in code for years, ignored everything else, and the only thing in my name is a mid-tier Audi. At the company, I was a ghost in the executive wing. The only people I really talked to were the developers in my division. The rest? Marketing, finance, operations, it all belonged to Marcus. He built the structure to keep me boxed in. And I didn't even see it. Just last month, I sat down with Vanessa's parents to talk marriage. I thought we were moving forward. They seemed kind, reasonable, even said money didn't matter, that as long as Vanessa and I were happy, nothing else was important. But that was a lie too. Turns out they knew. They knew about her and Marcus. Had known for years. Hell, they helped cover for them. Kept the lie alive while I played the fool. She walked through the door like nothing happened. Back already? I asked, my voice flat and unreadable. Have fun? She froze for half a second. Just enough to show she wasn't expecting the question. Maybe she hadn't had time to fix the damage. Maybe she thought I'd be asleep. Her smile flickered back into place. It was fine. I thought you weren't feeling well. Why aren't you in bed? I'm used to late nights, I said calmly. Oh, how are you feeling now? Better. She nodded quickly, eager to move on. I'm gonna go shower real quick. We'll talk after, okay? Sure, I said. She turned on her heel, wobbling slightly in her stilettos, her tight skirt clinging to her hips. I watched her walk to the bathroom. The back of her stockings were torn. Ripped through. Did she really think I wouldn't notice something that obvious? The hem of her dress was twisted, and her lipstick was half faded. If the scratches on her neck weren't enough, the ruined tights sealed the picture. Whatever they did tonight, it wasn't quiet. And it sure as hell wasn't subtle. About 15 minutes later, Vanessa emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a towel. Damp hair framed her face, skin still glistening from the steam. She flashed me a smile, trying to keep things light. You should have come out tonight, she said casually. A little dancing, some drinks, it would have helped you blow off some steam. I leaned back on the couch, gaze steady. With the IPO coming up, I figured I'd stay in and get a few things prepped. That caught her attention. She nodded, a little too eagerly. You're right. Marcus has been working so hard to get everything in place. He's really been under a lot of pressure lately. Her voice dipped into faux concern, and I watched her eyes soften when she said his name. She kept going, sliding the next line in like it was no big deal. Oh, by the way, about those documents Marcus gave you, you should sign them soon. If you don't have time, or you just don't feel like it, we can do a quick authorization form. You let me sign on your behalf, and I'll take care of it for you. She smiled sweetly, like she was doing me a favor. I smiled right back. No need for an authorization, I said. You can just sign them directly. You're basically my fiancé already. The moment those words left my mouth, Vanessa's expression shifted. She waved her hand slightly. No, we can't do that. Not officially. We're not married yet, and these are legal documents, it's too serious. She paused for half a beat, then added, look, how about I go draft a simple power of attorney form right now? You sign that, and I'll take care of everything first thing tomorrow at the office. She was pushing too hard. Too fast. A little too eager to get those papers out of my hands. I raised an eyebrow. It's late, I said calmly. Let's just deal with it tomorrow. I stood and walked over to her, reaching out to pull her into a hug. She flinched. Just slightly, but enough. She stepped back, forced a smile, and nodded. Okay. We headed toward the bedroom. I followed, letting the silence stretch. I sat down on the edge of the bed, made a move to lean toward her. But she stepped away again. I'm really tired, she said, voice soft and sugary. Let's just get some rest, okay? Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Her tone was gentle. Almost tender. She was good. Really good. But I wasn't buying it. I'd made the move just to see how she'd react, and she gave me all the confirmation I needed. She was protecting herself. For him. She wouldn't even let me touch her. I stared at her as she turned off the lights and slid under the covers, back facing me like a wall. And I just lay there, in silence, grinning in the dark. So she's faithful now, huh? Faithful, to Marcus. Not even pretending for my sake anymore. That's fine. Let the two of them think they're still in control. Tomorrow, I start tearing it all down. I tried to sleep. But how could I? Right beside me lay the woman who helped destroy me. The one who used my game to get rich. The one who betrayed me in bed and in boardrooms. The one who, when it was all said and done, stood by and watched as I fell to my death. I turned to face her in the dark. For a fleeting moment, I imagined wrapping my hands around her throat and ending it right there. Snapping the story closed. But the thought passed. No, death is easy. Too easy. She doesn't deserve easy. She needs to feel everything I did. Every inch of the betrayal. Every breath of the collapse. The pain. The fear. The helplessness. Only then will I be satisfied. I knew I couldn't take back the game. Legally, it belonged to the company now. My code, my patents, they were all buried under Marcus's name and shielded by layers of corporate paper. But that didn't mean I was out of moves. As the sky outside lightened, a plan was already forming. The next morning, I was up early. Just like always. And just like always, I made breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Black coffee. Her usual. Vanessa emerged from the bedroom a little later, hair pulled into a loose bun, still wearing the silk robe I bought her last Christmas. We sat at the table together, quiet clinks of silverware filling the room. Between bites, she reminded me, again. Don't forget, she said lightly. First thing we do at the office is get those papers signed. The IPO's in a week. Timing's everything. I nodded. Yeah. I know. She gave me a smile. The kind she used to give when she thought I was doing exactly what she wanted. After breakfast, she surprised me. Instead of taking her usual Lamborghini or Porsche or whatever flavor of the week she felt like flaunting, she slid into the passenger seat of my Audi. That almost never happened. I figured it was strategic. She was playing supportive fiancé now, keeping an eye on me, making sure I stayed calm, cooperative, compliant. The drive was quiet. She talked. I nodded. She talked more. I didn't really listen. My mind wasn't here anymore. In my head, something far bigger was already underway, something deep and wide and relentless. A whole new version of me was standing up inside. I used to be the quiet guy. The engineer. The code monkey who just wanted to build cool things. The guy who never saw the knife coming until it was already in his back. But not anymore. Now I was the storm they never saw coming. We pulled into the company parking lot. And there he was. Marcus. Waiting outside my office space like a smug executive on a photo op. Tailored suit. Polished shoes. Hair perfect. Smile locked and loaded. He looked like a man who hadn't slept because he was too excited to win. I knew exactly what he wanted. Those documents. My signature. Once I handed that over, I'd be gone for good. Not just erased, buried. My shares? Transferred. My name? Scrubbed. On top of that, they'd stick me with company debt. Loans I never authorized. A noose made of fine print. Marcus played smart. And he played ruthless. But he'd made one fatal mistake. He underestimated the man he killed. You finally made it, Marcus said the moment I stepped through the doors. I gave him a lazy smile. Pretty sure I'm right on time. Didn't know we started penalizing punctuality. His eyes flicked toward Vanessa. Of course they did. And she? She came dressed to provoke, low neckline, tight skirt, heels that echoed down the hall. They exchanged a glance. Quick. Loaded. Like they were sharing a secret joke right in front of me. I smiled wider. Keep laughing, assholes. But I didn't say a thing. I acted like I didn't notice a damn thing. Marcus paused, thrown off by my tone. For half a second, he looked confused, caught in that space between confidence and caution. He glanced down at the gold watch on his wrist. A limited edition Rolex, he'd told me once it cost over $1 million. Bought, of course, with my game. Guess I'm just a little eager, he said, recovering quickly. Things are moving fast with the IPO. You know how it is, timing matters. Vanessa chimed in with her usual performance. Marcus has barely slept. He's really been carrying so much on his back. You should cut him some slack. The two of them kept going, trading lines like rehearsed actors. I just stood there, smiling like a fool, but my eyes were sharp now. Cold. They had no idea. Let's talk in your office, I said. Marcus nodded, visibly relaxing. Yeah, good idea. His office was the crown jewel of the company. Massive. Sleek. Walls of glass, marble floors, an executive desk big enough to sleep on. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a sweeping view of the city. From here, you could see the skyline bend to your will. A man could really believe he ruled the world from this perch. We stepped in, and he didn't waste a second. He pulled out the stack of contracts, thick, precise, predatory, and set them in front of me. Let's not waste time, he said. We've got a lot to lock down before the listing. It's best to get these signed ASAP. I didn't even look at the papers. I reached into my bag, pulled out a neatly stapled document, and set it down in front of him. I've actually been thinking, I said calmly. I'm planning to exit the company. Here's a draft of my equity withdrawal and share transfer terms. I want out. Silence. Thick and sudden. Both of them stared at me, wide-eyed, stunned into stillness. Vanessa blinked like she misheard. Marcus just froze. They hadn't planned for this. Because this wasn't part of their script. Ethan, are you out of your mind? Marcus's voice rose, finally cracking through his carefully practiced composure. You do realize the company is on the brink of going public, right? Pulling out now could tank everything, we're talking catastrophic damage to the IPO. His panic wasn't even subtle. Vanessa jumped in right behind him. You didn't even talk to me about this first, she snapped. I'm telling you right now, I don't agree. There it was. The crack in the armor. They were scared. Not because I was leaving, but because they didn't know the price I'd demand on my way out. They were terrified I'd pull the rug out from under them and shatter the carefully constructed illusion they'd built on my back. Vanessa must have realized her tone was too sharp, too fast, because she quickly softened it. You're being impulsive, baby, she said gently, shifting into her nurturing act. This isn't some college drama anymore, we run a company now. You can't make rash decisions like that. As she spoke, she gave Marcus a look, a subtle signal behind her lashes. He caught it. Immediately. He stepped forward, voice calm, almost paternal. She's right. Vanessa's right. Look, you two are about to get married. If you pull out now, it's not smart, man. Once the IPO hits, the dividends alone will set you and Vanessa up for life. No more stress. No more pressure. Isn't that what you want? They spoke as if I hadn't already lived the ending. As if I hadn't died for trusting them. They thought I was hesitating. They thought I needed reassurance. But I just stood there, letting them talk, letting them squirm. Watching them dress their panic in pretty words. And then Marcus offered it. Even if you do want to exit, he said, lowering his voice, at least sign these documents first, all right? One thing at a time. Exactly, Vanessa echoed. Let's not mix everything together. Just sign these now, and we can talk about the rest later. I looked at both of them. At their smiles. Their eyes. Their carefully controlled breathing. They were on the edge of unraveling. And they didn't even know how far gone they already were. I could have humiliated them right then and there. Tore open the contracts in front of them, exposed the fine print, and made them eat their lies. But no. That would have been too kind. If we ended it here, they'd still walk away rich. Still enjoy their champagne toasts and boardroom praise. Still fly off to some island villa thinking they'd won. That would be letting them off easy. And I don't do easy anymore. I've actually been thinking about this for a while, I said quietly, my tone calm and measured. I went to the hospital recently. Got a full checkup. They both looked at me. The doctor said my body's in burnout mode, running on fumes, I continued. If I don't rest soon, I'll end up making all this money and not living long enough to spend it. That's no reason to pull out entirely, Marcus jumped in. Look, sign the documents, and I'll approve a long sabbatical. Take all the time you need. Vanessa chimed in right behind him, voice soft and coaxing. She's right, Ethan. You don't have to do something this drastic. Think about us. Think about our future. Sign the papers, then go rest, it's fine. Their concern was a mask. A flimsy one. Underneath, I could practically hear their hearts racing. They were still trying to corner me, still assuming I was negotiating from weakness. I gave them a look, then said casually, Marcus, maybe take a look at my document first. Marcus blinked, then seemed to remember it. He picked up the papers I'd brought and began scanning the first few lines. The panic on his face faded, replaced by something else. Confusion. Vanessa leaned in. What's wrong? She asked. Marcus didn't look up. It says here Ethan's asking for just $50 million in exchange for his shares, and he's transferring the rest to you, he said, glancing at her. I nodded. Yeah. Let it all go to Vanessa. From now on, she'll stand in for me in the company. Vanessa's eyes went wide. Her jaw dropped slightly before she caught herself. Are you serious? She gasped. Ethan, wow, I don't even know what to say. I shrugged. It's nothing. We're about to get married, right? What's mine is yours. I figured it's time I stepped back anyway. Just take it as me investing in our future. Her face lit up. Marcus glanced between the two of us, visibly relieved. The tension in his shoulders dropped, and for the first time all morning, he smiled like a man who thought he'd just won everything. Neither of them had expected this. They thought I'd push, bargain, demand a massive buyout. Instead, I'd handed Vanessa the entire gold mine, and walked away with what looked like a fraction of what it was worth. What they didn't know was that my $50 million was just leverage. All right, Marcus said slowly, flipping through the rest of the agreement. If you're sure. I don't see a problem. So. I'll go ahead and sign. Go ahead, I said with a nod. But I need the money wired to my account immediately, I added. Think of it as my wedding gift, to myself. Marcus chuckled. Done. I'll have accounting process it right away. Vanessa reached over and grabbed my hand, eyes glossy with fake emotion. You're really incredible, she whispered. I smiled at her. But inside? I was already miles ahead. Let them sign. Let them celebrate. Let them think they won. Because once they owned it all, I'd burn the whole thing down. Do you want the money wired to your account, Marcus asked casually, or to Vanessa's? The question hung in the air for a beat too long. Vanessa stiffened slightly beside him. Her smile twitched. She glanced at me, eyes full of carefully masked anticipation. I stared at Marcus. You greedy bastard. Even this? Even the 1/10 payoff you think you're giving me, you still want to reroute it through her? I wanted to laugh. No shame. No limits. Just pure rot. But I kept my tone cool. Send it to my account, I said easily. I've got a surprise planned for Vanessa, can't do that without cash, right? That flash of disappointment flickered across her face. Quick. Barely there. But I caught it. She recovered fast, as always. That's fine, she said with a nod. Marcus picked up his phone and called finance. Spoke a few clipped instructions, then hung up like he was closing a deal on lunch. And that was it. I picked up the pen and signed my name across the bottom of the agreement. Clean. Decisive. Marcus exhaled, visibly. So did Vanessa. The tension they'd been carrying all morning dissolved into thin air. I leaned back in my chair and gave them a faint smile. So. I guess I don't need to sign those other documents anymore, do I? Marcus hesitated. Then quickly said, no. You're good. I stood. All right then. I'll leave you two to it. If anything comes up, give me a call. Vanessa stood too. Of course, she said sweetly. I walked out of that office with a calm expression and a burning storm in my chest. I knew what they were thinking behind those fake smiles. They were probably already calling me a fool in their heads. A lunatic. A man stupid enough to give up $1 billion stake for a measly $50 million and a broken heart. They were probably planning a celebration before I even reached the elevator. Because now, in their minds, the company was truly theirs. I had been discarded. Ejected. Cut cleanly from the empire I built. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't begin to understand, was that this was just step one. I had no intention of walking away quietly. I would not fade into the background like a tragic fool. No. I would return. And when I did, they would be on their knees, begging, sobbing, broken beneath the weight of everything they'd stolen. I wasn't finished. I was just getting started. I headed home and packed quickly. For the past few years, ever since graduation, every hour of my life had been poured into that company. Into the game. Into the relentless grind. There'd been no time for rest. No travel. No distractions. Now that I'd walked away, it was finally time. Time to disappear, just long enough to watch everything start to burn. I knew Marcus. I knew how his mind worked. With the IPO approaching, he needed one thing more than anything else, a perfect performance. Something flashy. Something investors could salivate over. He needed numbers. Momentum. Headlines. Which meant he'd be pushing a major update to the game, one I'd spent months designing before my retirement. A new character. And not just any character, this one had hype. We'd teased it just enough to get people frothing. Leaked images on forums, blurry renders on YouTube, viral posts on Reddit and TikTok. Top-tier gaming influencers had already done breakdown videos and reaction streams. The anticipation was sky-high. This wasn't just a character, it was a cultural event. Marcus knew it. Vanessa knew it. The whole damn marketing team knew it. And tomorrow? They were launching it in full force. A global live stream. A press event. Tie-in merchandise. Full rollout. Everything designed to make the company look like a rocket ship just before takeoff. I had to admit, Marcus was good at this part. He knew how to sell a fantasy. But he didn't know what was waiting underneath. Once I finished packing, I sent Vanessa a message. Heading out of town. Taking a break. Don't wait up. She didn't reply. I wasn't surprised. By now, she was probably too busy celebrating with Marcus, finally rid of me, holding the reins, thinking they'd won the whole kingdom. Let them enjoy it. I booked a last-minute flight to Hawaii, landed just after sunset, and checked into a quiet beachfront resort far away from the noise. Ocean breeze drifted through the open balcony doors. The sound of waves filled the room. I dropped my bag, silenced my phone, muted the laptop, and lay back on the hotel bed, arms behind my head. Just breathing. Just watching the ceiling fan spin lazily above me. Vanessa still hadn't responded. I could picture them now, champagne in hand, whispering about how gullible I'd been. Toasting to their new empire. Laughing behind my back. They thought I was gone. They thought I was done. But they had no idea. This was just the eye of the storm. Just as I was setting my phone down, a new message came through. Actually, several. They were from Ryan. A good friend. Or rather, the only one who never turned his back on me. He'd heard about my exit from the company and couldn't wrap his head around it. His texts were rapid fire, each more incredulous than the last. Are you serious? You walked away? Now? Right before the IPO? This was your moment, man. The win. The payoff. And you gave it away? Then came the calls. 4 of them, back to back. I didn't answer any of them. I just sat there, staring at the screen, watching the missed calls pile up. Ryan wasn't just some casual buddy from college. He was a true fan, of me, and of the game I built. We met through it, actually. He'd been part of the early community, back when there were only a few hundred players. Turns out his family had money, serious money. After finishing his degree, his parents handed him $50 million to start his own company. But unlike most rich kids, Ryan wasn't reckless. He was sharp. Ambitious. Creative. And he used that money, turned it into something real. Built his own digital empire. His net worth had tripled in just a couple of years. He'd always tried to pull me away from Marcus. Always said I was being shortchanged. Always said Marcus was a snake. Hell, he used to joke that if I jumped ship and joined him, he'd give me 90% equity, he'd keep just 10% for himself. Because I don't care about the money, he told me once. I care about making a game that means something. Something great. I'd laughed at the time. Shrugged him off. Back then, I still believed in what I had. Believed in Marcus. Believed in Vanessa. Believed that love and loyalty would hold. I was such a fool. The last time Ryan called me, was the night I jumped. He didn't know what I was going through. Not fully. But somehow, he sensed it. He left a voicemail. Ethan. I don't know what's going on, but if you need anything, I'm here. Just say the word. But I never called him back. By then, I was already standing on the edge, heart shredded, soul hollowed out. Betrayed by the woman I loved. Betrayed by the friend I trusted. Left with nothing but the cold metal rail beneath my palms and the weight of a ruined life. That night, I thought there was no way out. I thought I was alone. Now, sitting in this quiet hotel room, with the ocean breeze brushing over my skin and the waves crashing outside, I felt that message again. Not just the words. The intention. Ryan hadn't ghosted me when things went south. He'd reached out. He tried to pull me back from the abyss, even when everyone else was stepping over me on their way up. And that? That meant something. Maybe more than anything else. I stared at my phone for a long moment, then finally tapped call. The line barely rang once before Ryan answered. Finally, he said, voice loud with relief. You picked up. What the hell, man? You seriously walked away from the company? Are you out of your mind? I gave a small chuckle. Nothing crazy. After grinding for years, my body started pushing back. Just needed some air, that's all. A little time to breathe. You're traveling then? Where are you? He asked quickly. I'll fly over. I've got something I need to talk to you about. If this is about starting a game company again, I said with a half-laugh, don't bother. I'm not dragging you into another cross-country chase for my burnt-out brain. Swear it's not about that, he said fast. What I want to tell you, you don't know yet. I hesitated, then gave him my location. When he heard I was in Hawaii, he groaned. Bro. You're killing me. I have a beach villa out there. Why are you in a hotel? Pack your stuff, go to my place. I'll send you the door code. The way he said it, like it was nothing. Like tossing someone keys to a spare car. That was Ryan. 3 hours later, he showed up in person. No assistant. No entourage. Just Ryan, a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a bag slung over his shoulder like a tourist with a billionaire's bank account. He didn't even wait for pleasantries. Marcus is a real piece of work, he said as soon as we sat down. He booted you the moment you became inconvenient. Unreal. Tell you what, I'll put in 200 mil. We'll build something better. Same deal as before, 90/10 split. You lead, I back. He caught the look in my eye and stopped mid-sentence. Right. Right, he said quickly, waving it off. Sorry, I forgot. No game talk. Not now. You just chill. You're in paradise, whatever you want to do, I'm down. I smirked. That's gonna cost you. He grinned back. Wouldn't have it any other way. We ended up sitting poolside at his place, expensive whiskey sweating in cut crystal glasses on the table between us. The sun dipped low over the ocean. Sea breeze, golden light, silence that didn't need to be filled. Ryan was thumbing through his phone when he suddenly scowled. You've got to see this, he said, turning the screen toward me. Your boy Marcus is already at it. I took the phone. A company PR article was trending, pushed out through all the major gaming forums and social channels. New era, new leadership. The original development team has been phased out in favor of a younger, more agile creative force. We believe this marks a bold step forward. It didn't name me. But it didn't have to. The comments section was worse. Finally. The old lead had no vision. This explains the change in art style, so much better now. About time they replaced the dead weight. Can't wait to see where this goes. Good riddance. The game needed this. Every top comment was a hit piece. No mention of the years I poured into the game. No respect. No recognition. Just erasure. Deliberate. Paid for. Coordinated. My jaw clenched. Marcus wasn't just cutting me out of the company. He was repainting history. Washing my name off the walls. Making sure the world thought he built the empire, while I was nothing but a footnote dragging it down. I handed the phone back, eyes still on the screen. Let him keep painting, I said quietly. Because when I flip the lights back on, everyone's gonna see what he really is. Now you see what kind of person Marcus really is, Ryan snapped, pacing by the pool, still fuming. He forces you out, steals your work, and then has the nerve to smear your name publicly? I swear, I'm marching into that office first thing tomorrow and wiping the damn floor with that prick. I let out a quiet laugh and took another sip of my drink. It's fine, I said, voice calm. It's just some words. Not like they can take a limb off. Ryan looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Jesus, man. You've got the patience of a saint. I didn't answer. Just lifted my glass, drained it, and set it down gently. Then I stood up. It's late. I'm heading back to bed. Yeah, alright, Ryan muttered, clearly still angry. Back in the guest room, I lay down, finally letting my body relax. That's when the messages started coming in. Old coworkers. Some from the dev team. Some from support. A few from operations. All with the same theme: the company's already changing. They brought in a new team the second you left. They're pushing us out, reassignments, silent treatment, no more dev meetings. Are you starting something new? If you are, we're in. We'll follow you. I stared at the screen. Some of it might be true. Some of it, probably not. For all I knew, Marcus planted half of these messages, just to see how I'd react. To see if I was planning anything. Amateur move. I typed back short replies. Neutral. Vague. Just keep doing your job. Don't overthink it. After that, I powered down the phone. The alcohol had started to kick in anyway. Within minutes, I was out. And for the first time in a long while, I slept well. I didn't know how long I'd been asleep when the banging started. Knock knock knock. Rapid. Urgent. Ryan's voice cut through the haze from behind the door. Ethan. Open up. Something's happening. I sat up instantly and swung the door open. Ryan shoved a tablet into my hands, breath slightly ragged. The press conference. It's live. Look. On screen, the broadcast was already rolling. A sleek stage setup. Lights. Branding banners. Polished corporate visuals. Dead center, in a tailored navy suit and slicked back hair, sat Marcus. He looked like a goddamn Wall Street poster boy. Hands folded neatly. Flashbulbs catching the perfect angles of his smug little smile. To his right sat Vanessa. Dressed in a fitted pencil skirt and a cream blouse that hugged her just enough to sell both competence and allure. Her makeup was soft, tasteful. Her hair done in waves that framed her practiced smile. Together, they looked like the power couple of the year. And more than once, their eyes met on stage, long enough to draw whispers. Little stolen glances. Tiny, loaded smiles. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. They didn't have to. As far as the world was concerned, they'd won. I stared at the screen for a moment. Then I smiled. Very faintly. Because they had no idea. The real press conference hadn't even started yet. A journalist stood up, camera light blinking against her notepad. Mr. Hale, today's press event is a big one: new character launch, upgraded gameplay systems. What would you like to say to players tuning in? Marcus adjusted his tie and flashed a practiced smile. This update is something we're incredibly proud of. It's going to deliver a completely fresh experience to players, new mechanics, hidden surprises, things we believe will exceed expectations. Our new creative director will walk you through all the exciting details shortly. Another reporter chimed in quickly, voice more pointed. Mr. Hale, there are rumors that your original lead designer is no longer with the company. Is there a story behind that? Can you share what happened? The room shifted. Heads turned. Phones lifted. Even the live stream audience leaned in. Marcus paused. Then glanced at Vanessa. They exchanged a glance that lasted just a beat too long. Then Marcus smiled again. A different smile this time, slightly cooler, more calculated. Well, he said, why don't we let Miss Cole explain that one? Vanessa took the mic, her expression composed, eyes locking with the camera like it was a game she'd already won. There's no drama here, she said smoothly. As we approach our IPO, we're evolving. The previous lead designer had a style that no longer aligned with our growth vision. In short, he couldn't keep up. So we brought in someone with a fresher perspective. There it was. The knife. delivered with a smile. And for a moment, the crowd went completely still, then the room burst into quiet murmurs and shifting chairs. Even more brutal was the live stream chat. Wait, are they talking about the original dev? The one who made this game what it is? I heard the new update and character were his last big project. So they dumped him right after stealing the work? This is corporate betrayal 101. What do you mean, couldn't keep up? The entire fanbase came from his vision. Loyalty means nothing in this industry, huh? Bro, this is literally kicking the horse that built your mansion. And of course, defenders chimed in, likely paid. It's business. Out with the old, in with the new. Grow up. That's how big companies work. He probably agreed to leave. If he was that good, why's he gone? Ryan sat beside me on a low sofa, still watching the screen. He gave me a sideways glance. You and your girl have a fight or something I don't know about? I didn't answer right away. I just stared at the screen, Vanessa's smug, corporate perfect face in 4K. All charm and polish. But behind the smile? Contempt. I knew exactly what Ryan was implying. If I hadn't fallen out with Vanessa, there was no way she'd be up there, on camera, publicly throwing dirt on my name. This wasn't business. This was personal. And it stung. Ryan sat beside me, fists clenched, still holding in the kind of rage I knew he usually didn't bother hiding. If Marcus had been the one to say what Vanessa just said, Ryan would have blown up the comments section, maybe even stormed the stage. I glanced at him. Now that I've left the company, they need a clean explanation, I said quietly. Something that makes them look good. Ryan scoffed. That's their version of clean? Please. This is all Marcus. Your girlfriend, I guess, would never go that far unless he pushed for it. I said nothing. Because he didn't know the whole story. Didn't know about the nights. The lies. The hands that weren't mine. And I wasn't about to explain, not yet. Let them gloat. Let them think this was the peak. On screen, another reporter stood up, tone sharper now. So, just to clarify, she said, are you confirming that the previous lead designer was fired by the company? The air in the press room shifted again, sharpened. It was a direct hit. No diplomacy. No room for spin. Vanessa and Marcus exchanged another glance. She smiled thinly and picked up the mic. When you want to deliver a better experience to players, you have to make hard decisions. If someone's no longer fit to lead creatively, then yes. They need to be replaced. The room stirred again. Back in the live stream, the comments section exploded. She's right. The old characters were flat anyway. Finally, some real professionalism. New blood. Let's go. I heard the new creative director is from the UK, definitely more experienced. This guy probably got lazy and was holding the company back. The flood of support was overwhelming. Suspiciously overwhelming. Ryan's jaw tensed. Nope. I'm not letting this slide, he muttered. He grabbed his phone and started furiously typing into the live chat, trying to push back. That's not what happened. He wasn't fired. He left. This game wouldn't exist without him. You're all buying a lie. This is Marcus's playbook. But every message Ryan posted was instantly buried under a flood of preloaded praise. Paid bots. Or a hired PR farm. Either way, it was Marcus's digital army. Ryan looked up at me, eyes flashing. They're rewriting history, man. They're erasing you like you never existed. And people are eating it. I stayed quiet. Because I wasn't ready to speak, not yet. And then it happened. A voice from the press room. A different tone. Cooler. Curious. Miss Cole, the reporter said, there's been some talk online that you and the former lead designer were romantically involved. Is that true? If so, don't you think your comments today were a little personal? The question dropped like a bomb. The room fell into silence. Even the live stream froze for a breath. And then detonated. What? Is this true? Wait, Vanessa and the old lead were dating? No way. That explains so much. Damn, she really threw him under the bus and backed over him. The camera zoomed slightly, capturing Vanessa's face just as the smile faltered. Even Marcus shifted uncomfortably beside her, clearly unprepared for this question. Finally. The narrative had slipped out of their control. The livestream chat was on fire. Viewer count spiked, comments pouring in like a tidal wave. Vanessa's face tightened for a brief second, but she recovered quickly. Years of public polish kicked in. She straightened her posture, gave a small smile, and replied with calm confidence. Thank you for the question, she said. I'm not sure where you heard that rumor, but let me be clear, today is about the game, not my personal life. That said, since you asked, I'll address it once and for all, there was never any romantic relationship between me and the former lead designer. We were just colleagues. Nothing more. I stared at the screen. Even though I'd seen this coming, even though I knew what kind of person she was now, something still twisted in my chest. To deny everything. To erase even that. But maybe that was for the best. At least she wasn't pretending anymore. At least now, everything was exactly what it looked like. The lies were out in the open. And so was the war. Ryan turned to me, expression stunned. Wait, when the hell did you two break up? I glanced at him. Since when are you this into gossip? He blinked, realized what he said, and fell silent. Then looked away, embarrassed. I closed the live stream window. I couldn't watch anymore. The performance was over. Ryan tried to lighten the mood. Forget her, man. I'll set you up with someone hotter. Just say the word. I gave him a tired smile, then waved him off. Not now. I need some time. Just me. Once Ryan left the room, I locked the door behind him. I sat down at the desk, pulled out the small external hard drive I always kept with me, and plugged it into my laptop. Inside was a prototype. A new game. Not finished. Not polished. But the core system was there. The mechanics. The engine. The spirit. It was supposed to be a surprise. Something I'd planned to unveil after the company went public. A gift. A triumph. But I never got the chance. The live stream had ended less than an hour ago when my phone started to ring. The caller ID lit up with her name, Vanessa. I stared at it for a moment, considering. Then answered. Her voice came through, steady and unmistakably smug. You watched the live stream, didn't you? There was a faint edge to her tone. Cold. Smug. Triumphant. I didn't need to ask what she wanted. This wasn't about closure. This was a power play. She was calling, to end things. To gloat. To make it official. I was already expecting the call to be what it was. So when Vanessa's voice came through, cool and unaffected, it didn't faze me. I'm calling to make things official, she said flatly. Let's break up. There was no hesitation in her voice. No emotion. Just execution. I didn't think you'd be so lacking in ambition. Now that you've left the company, we don't share a future, professionally or personally. We're not aligned. We never will be. I think you know what I mean. Blunt. Sharp. Unapologetic. A lifetime ago, that would have shattered me. But not now. Now, I didn't feel a thing. Before she could continue, I cut her off. Fine. I agree. There was a beat of silence on the other end. She clearly didn't expect it to be that easy. You're not going to say anything else? She asked, almost confused. I kept my voice cold. Flat. What else is there to say? You want to end it. It's ended. From this moment forward, we have nothing to do with each other. And I ended the call. A few seconds later, my phone lit up again. Same name. Same number. I answered out of curiosity. Vanessa's tone was even more transactional this time. Since we're done, I just wanted to confirm, everything under my name stays with me. The cars, the apartments. That's okay, right? Sure. Then I hung up again. She could have it all. The titles were in her name. We never married. No legal claim, no court would change that. It wasn't worth the energy. I powered off the phone and turned my full attention to the laptop. Inside the hard drive was the code I'd been building quietly for over a year. A game that no one knew about. A project born in solitude, piece by piece. It had my fingerprints, my soul, my rhythm. Something new. Something real. Now, it was time. For the next 3 days, I disappeared. Ryan stopped by a few times. Said he had parties lined up, beach clubs, models, distractions, beautiful women he'd personally handpicked just to help me forget. I declined every offer. I had no time for distractions. This was the beginning of something bigger. And I knew I had to be ready. On the 3rd day, I pushed away from the desk and exhaled. The last piece of code was done. That same morning, the world lit up with headlines. Marcus and Vanessa's company had gone public. The stock rang in strong. The ceremonial bell was struck. Cameras flashed. Confetti fell. The new character launched alongside the IPO. Players were logging in by the millions. Influencers streamed for hours. The company's valuation shot past $2 billion in less than a day. They were hailed as visionaries. Golden couple. Gaming revolutionaries. Industry darlings. It was their moment. Their peak. And they had no idea. They were standing on top of a landmine. That same day, while the world was busy watching Marcus and Vanessa celebrate their IPO, I quietly launched the closed beta for my game. No press. No flash. Just a private invite to a few old friends from the early forum days. The players who'd been there before the hype, before the corporate layers, before it all got taken from me. They logged in. Played for a few hours. And then the messages started rolling in. Dude. This is insane. When does it go live? Bro, this thing slaps. Way smoother than that other one. If this launches, it's gonna wipe the floor with everything else. Seriously. The mechanics? The pacing? The feel? It's like someone finally got it right. Reading their words, I allowed myself a small smile. Just a flicker. Then I typed out quick responses, keeping it grounded. Appreciate the feedback. It's still a work in progress, early beta. If anything breaks, let me know. I'll patch it. They were already asking if they could share the game with friends. Can we get more keys? Please. My group chat's blowing up. I thought for a second. Then approved a batch of codes for them to hand out. Let the wildfire start small. Once everything was set, I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. It had begun. But for now, I needed rest. I don't know how long I slept, but the sound of my phone buzzing pulled me from the quiet. I reached over and answered without checking. Yo, Ryan's voice came through. Are you seriously still sleeping? It's perfect outside. Get your ass down to the beach. I shrugged on a shirt and met him at the waterfront. Warm breeze. Salty air. That kind of tropical clarity that makes everything feel just a little less complicated. Down by the harbor, Ryan had a yacht waiting, because of course he did. He grinned like a man on a mission. You've been cooped up coding for days. Time to remind you that life exists outside of a screen. He'd gone all in: music, drinks, beautiful people. A full-on yacht party. Models. Influencers. Startup founders. Half of them probably didn't even know each other's names, but it didn't matter. They were there for the sun and the scene. I wasn't. I gave them all a polite nod and moved past the crowd. At the edge of the deck, I spotted a fishing rod propped against the railing. That, at least, made sense to me. I picked it up, baited the hook, and cast into the ocean. The waves stretched endlessly into the horizon. The sky was impossibly blue. The line tugged gently with the current. For the first time in a long while, I felt light. Not because I'd let go. But because I knew exactly what was coming. And they didn't. A little while later, Ryan came strolling across the deck with a glass of something amber in hand. He handed it to me. Here. Drink, he said. Lighten up. I took the glass, sipped it slowly. The burn was mild, the sweetness delayed. You really went all out, I said. Ryan gave a lopsided smile. This is nothing. As long as you're happy, man. There was something about the way he looked at me, too direct, too warm. I raised a brow. Why are you looking at me like that? I asked, mock serious. I'm not into guys, you know. He blinked, then burst out laughing. Screw you, he said. I love women. Big time. We were still laughing when I felt the fishing rod twitch in my hands. The line tugged hard. I dropped my drink and lunged forward, gripping the pole with both hands. Whatever was down there was strong. My muscles tensed. The rod bent almost in half. I held steady, pulling and reeling with every ounce of focus. Then it yanked again, harder this time, nearly dragging me forward. Ryan stepped closer. You want help? No, I said through gritted teeth. This one's mine. We battled for over 10 minutes. Each time I gained ground, the fish stole it back. It was a power struggle, pure and primal. Then finally, when I felt the tension in the line shift, I gave one last pull. The ocean sprayed as the fish broke the surface. A massive one. Silver-scaled. Heavy. I landed it hard onto the deck with a wet thud. Ryan let out a whoop of disbelief. Holy shit. That thing's huge. I looked down at the fish, gasping on the planks. Smiled faintly. Didn't say a word. And then, right on cue, my phone buzzed. I wiped my hands on a towel, checked the screen. Marcus. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened the company's official game forum. And what I saw made me freeze. What is this garbage? The new character looks like a dead fish. The animations are lifeless. Where's the personality? That skill move? Looks like someone smeared poop on my screen. This was supposed to be a major upgrade? It's laughable. Thread after thread. Hundreds of comments. All outrage. All disappointment. All disgust. Ryan leaned in, reading over my shoulder. A beat passed. Then he burst out laughing. Ha! Serves them right. I scrolled a little further. More posts. More heat. The crown jewel of their IPO launch, flopping in real time. I looked at the fish flopping on the deck, then back at the phone. I couldn't help it. I smiled too. Just as Ryan was still laughing at the forum chaos, my phone buzzed again. Marcus. Calling for the second time. I let it ring out. Again. Ryan glanced at the screen, concern creeping into his expression. "You're not thinking of helping them, are you?" he asked cautiously. "After everything they did to you?" I didn't answer right away. Ryan kept going, voice faster now, fueled by loyalty and rage. "Because that'd be insane, man. They used you, erased you, and now what, when they screw up, you're supposed to fix it for them?" His voice faded as I looked out at the ocean, letting the breeze settle over me. He didn't understand. Not fully. This was the plan. I had been building this moment from the second I walked out of that company. Let them bask in the spotlight. Let them ring their precious IPO bell. Let them push out my work like it was theirs. And then, let them watch it fall apart. Marcus called again. Then again. And then came Vanessa. I stared at the screen for a beat longer this time. Then picked up. Her voice came fast, clipped, laced with panic. "Where are you? You need to come back, now." I leaned back in the deck chair, fishing rod still resting beside me. "Why?" I asked, playing dumb. Her breath caught. Then she snapped. "The game's crashing. Something's wrong. I don't care where you are, get back here and help us fix it." Her voice was demanding. Sharp. Like she still had the right to tell me what to do. I let the silence stretch a second. Then I laughed softly. "Miss Cole," I said dryly, "you seem to have forgotten. I was fired, remember? Pretty publicly, too. You might want to check your notes." She didn't flinch. "This isn't about us. It's bigger than that," she barked. "This game, your game, is breaking. The company's about to implode. You have to help." I kept my voice even. "Cold. That game was my heart, yes. But it's not mine anymore. You stripped me out of the credits, replaced me, and made sure the world knew I wasn't part of it." I paused. "Now you can deal with what's left." And I hung up. Ryan watched from nearby, then slowly raised a hand and gave me a proud thumbs up. "That's what I'm talking about. Brutal. Beautiful." I couldn't help but smile. But deep inside, it wasn't just satisfaction. It was clarity. The game was collapsing. The IPO celebration had turned into a countdown. And this? This was only the beginning. I answered flatly. But before I could even set the phone down, it started buzzing again. "Vanessa. Relentless." I sighed and picked up. She didn't even wait for a hello. "Look, I know what I said at the launch, and breaking up with you, I admit, it was harsh. But this isn't the time to throw a tantrum. Even if we're not together anymore, you and me, and Marcus, we've always been friends, right? Real friends help each other out when things get hard." She kept going, fast and desperate, her words tumbling over each other like she was trying to talk her way out of a fire. I said nothing. Then I heard another voice in the background. "Let me talk to him." A pause. And then Marcus came on the line. "There were things said at the press conference that weren't appropriate," he began, trying to keep his voice smooth. "I should have stepped in. That's on me. I owe you an apology, for Vanessa and for myself. I'm sorry." That word, sorry, nearly made me laugh out loud. Even now, he was still performing for me. He kept going. "I know the breakup hit you hard. If you want, I can talk to Vanessa, maybe you two can fix things. But right now, the company needs you. The game's tanking. We're already seeing the stock drop. This is serious. I need you to think bigger. Be part of the team again. For the sake of the company. I let a long beat pass. Then replied, calm and cold. Whatever happens to the company has nothing to do with me. Whether it burns or breaks, it's your problem now. As for Vanessa, I'm more than happy we broke up. Getting back together? Not even in my worst nightmares. Before Marcus could respond, I heard Vanessa again, sharper now, more shrill. Ethan, what the hell does that mean? Exactly what it sounds like, I said, tone still flat. You think you dumped me? She snapped. I dumped you. Let's be clear about that. I ignored the tantrum. I've heard enough. I'm hanging up. Are you seriously gonna be this cold? Marcus's voice broke through again, forced calm slipping. I haven't done anything yet, I said dryly. You really think this company can't survive without you? You think we can't recover the game without your help? His voice had dropped low now. Threatening. I didn't even blink. If that's true, I said, then by all means, get your new lead designer to fix it. And I ended the call. No hesitation. No guilt. Nothing. Just silence. Just then, Ryan raised his glass and grinned at me with a big thumbs up. Damn, that was satisfying, he said. Brutal. Beautiful. He leaned in, eyes gleaming with mischief. I just checked their stock, cut in half. I've got a few friends in the media. Time to stir the pot a little more. He flashed me that crooked grin of his, already dialing. I didn't stop him. This was all part of the plan. A few calls later, what started as a whisper on some forums exploded across every corner of the internet. The backlash hit like a tidal wave. Player forums, gaming groups, even casual news sites were tearing them apart. I was expecting an exciting upgrade. Instead, I got a steaming pile of trash. Remember the big promises at the press conference? What a joke. Bring back the original lead designer or I swear, I'm uninstalling. The downgrade is so bad, I feel like I paid to punch myself in the face. The criticism spread like wildfire. Marcus's company had no choice, they froze the servers and posted a vague announcement. We're temporarily suspending gameplay to resolve technical issues. Sure. And then, buried in the angry mob of comments, something else caught my eye. A spark. Hey, anyone heard of that new game in closed beta? Freakin' amazing. 10 times better than this garbage. Another chimed in almost instantly. 10. Bro, it's 100 streets ahead. The mechanics, animation, detail, it's chef's kiss. I swear this thing is about to blow up. I paused, surprised. I hadn't expected word to spread this fast. I'd only handed out around 200 testing keys, and now people were already talking about it publicly. I clicked into the internal forum I'd set up for early testers. There it was. One of my old forum buddies had left me a voice note. Dude. Your game is unreal. I'm getting flooded with people offering to buy my test key. Like, real cash. Someone offered me $1,000 for mine. I replied. Just so you know, you're not allowed to resell those. The keys are for feedback, not profit. His voice came through again, upbeat, breathless. Relax, man, I'd never do that. Everyone I shared mine with are hardcore gamers, real fans. No scalpers. Just hurry up with the open beta, okay? I've been playing all day and I haven't hit a single bug. I need to be your very first player when this goes live. I could hear the grin in his voice. And for the first time in a long while, I found myself smiling too. Don't worry, I replied to the voice message, I'll let you know when we go public. The name of the game? Boundless. A world I'd built piece by piece, line by line, fueled by every sleepless night and ounce of betrayal. I logged into the dev server to check on a few back-end metrics. As soon as I opened the dashboard, a message popped up. Sender, Marcus. Subject, inquiry regarding your game. Message. Hi, I'm Marcus, president of Blue Wave Studios. We've been watching your new project and are extremely interested. Would you be open to a conversation? I blinked. Marcus. Of course he would show up here. At first, my instinct was to shut it down, no thanks, not interested. But then I paused, smiled faintly, and typed. What kind of conversation? His reply was almost instant. I assume you've heard of Blue Wave Studios? We're a major player with global reach. We'd like to acquire your game, full rights, generous offer. With our resources, we could take your title global, put it in the hands of millions. You're a game dev, after all, you want people to play it, don't you? Marcus. Still the same oily charm wrapped in corporate spin. I wrote back one line. I'll consider it. Then I shut the laptop. I was pretty sure he still hadn't connected the dots, that the mysterious new developer behind Boundless was the same guy they'd kicked out and tried to erase from their company's legacy. That made this game of chess all the more satisfying. By then, the boat had docked. Ryan appeared at my side, nudging me with a grin. You bringing that beast home? He asked, nodding toward the giant fish still packed in ice. Hell yeah, I said, laughing. Took me long enough to land it. All right then, he said, slinging the thing over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. Let's make it count. We piled into the car, the sea breeze still clinging to our clothes, and headed back to the house. When we arrived, Ryan flagged down the housekeeper. Get the kitchen ready, he said. Tonight, we eat like kings. Just as the housekeeper started prepping the kitchen, Ryan nudged me again, his tone a mix of excitement and curiosity. Hey, he said, lowering his voice like he was about to spill some major secret. You heard about this new game called Boundless? I turned to him, mildly surprised. What about it? It's blowing up right now, he said. Everyone's talking about it. I tried to pull some strings, get a test code, couldn't even touch one. Really? I raised an eyebrow. That big of a deal? Dude, Ryan leaned in, all serious now. People are paying $1,000 for early access. $1,000 for a code. You know what I'm thinking? If we could get in on that, invest or acquire, we'd be printing money. I smirked. Sounds great. You got the money? You don't, I do, he said without hesitation. And you? You've got the talent. We combine that, throw some cash at it, polish it up, you join as lead dev, we could own the damn thing. If I get shares in, I'll split it with you. 50-50. I blinked. That generous, huh? Ryan gave me a grin, the kind that said he was already imagining yachts and private jets. I believe in people, man. And you? You've got something. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's big. I tilted my head. Aren't you worried Marcus already made his move? He's got the clout, the money, the industry pull. You're walking into a battlefield with a water gun. Fair point, Ryan admitted. So what's the plan then? If we let that scumbag get his hands on it, the game's dead. Period. I shrugged. I don't have a plan. Ryan stood up like his chair had just shocked him. Then I better go make one. Screw letting Marcus take this win. He pulled out his phone and immediately started making calls like he was building an empire in real time. I watched him pace the room, barking into his phone with that usual dramatic flair, and I couldn't help but chuckle. Later that night, I sat back down in front of my laptop. Sure enough, another message from Marcus. I just want to say, I really respect what you've created. A game like Boundless deserves the best. And with our infrastructure, we could ensure it never gets buried. Still the same carefully constructed charm. Still thinking I'm just some anonymous developer he can lure in with fake flattery and corporate polish. I didn't reply. Not yet. I leaned back in my chair, hands behind my head, staring at the screen. Let's see how far you'll go, Marcus. Marcus added another line before ending his message. If we acquire Boundless, you'll retain full creative control. You stay in charge. We'll back it, fund it, scale it, but you lead. We respect the game, we respect your vision, and we respect you. I stared at the screen, half laughing. Respect? That word had never sounded more hollow. It was a flawless sales pitch, clean, polished, even touching if I were still naive. Mr. Hale, I typed back. Your words almost moved me. I hit send. Then I shut the laptop. The next morning, Blue Wave Studios held a press conference. They made 3 major announcements. First, they claimed the major bugs in their latest game had been mostly resolved. Second, they'd secured a new investor, an unnamed party bringing in significant capital to help elevate the game to the next level. Third, they confirmed they were in talks to license a rising star in the indie space, a game rumored to be gaining serious traction. A game called Boundless. 3 shiny headlines in one day. And just like that, their stock price bounced. Out of mild curiosity, I opened the forums. Still a battlefield. Whoever this new lead dev is, they're a joke. This is what they call a fix? Are we being punked? Same clunky mechanics, same dead eyes on every character. It's like playing a corpse museum. But then, something else. Tucked beneath the chaos were a few curious comments. If Blue Wave really does get publishing rights to Boundless, maybe there's still hope. I've heard of that game. A friend said it's insanely smooth, beautiful gameplay, top-notch design. I've been trying to get a test code forever. Supposedly the experience is unreal. Forget it. Test slots are going for thousands now. There it was again, Boundless. Spreading like a quiet fire. I couldn't help myself. I created a burner account and replied to one of the threads. If you want access, I've got codes. Didn't take long. People jumped on me immediately. Yeah, right. Scammer alert. You and every bot in this forum. Exactly the kind of response I expected. I'd already masked my IP, no one was tracking me. I just kept replying to a few of the more skeptical ones. Add me. I've got limited slots, but if you're serious, we'll talk. I smiled to myself. Let the hunt begin. Even though most people didn't believe me, there were still a few who did. One of them messaged me directly. If you really have access codes, and you send me one, you'll be my hero for life. Of course, I replied, but the code will be locked to your IP and device. It's non-transferable. Try to sell it, and it won't work. Deal. I swear, it's just for me. I ended up sending out another few dozen access codes. Then I wiped the account. Gone. By late afternoon, every major gaming forum had exploded with threads begging for Boundless access. And that's when Ryan stormed in, head down, dragging his feet like the world had ended. It's over, he muttered. I glanced at him. What happened? Marcus. That bastard's hosting a celebration dinner. You know why? They just announced they're officially in talks to acquire Boundless. On top of that, they secured a $500 million investment. I raised an eyebrow. $500 million? Yeah, Ryan said, sinking into the couch. But it's a conditional deal. A performance-based contract. They've got to hit 20% profit the first year, then double that each of the next 2. If they manage to lock down Boundless, they'll hit those numbers easy. He tossed his phone aside and rubbed his temples. How do these assholes always land on their feet? I let out a quiet breath. Didn't answer. Ryan kept pacing. I mean seriously, what kind of dev signs with blue wave? Doesn't the guy have any idea what he's walking into? You didn't manage to get a code today? I asked casually. Almost. Word is a batch dropped earlier this afternoon, dozens of them. But they're IP locked. Even the scalpers couldn't use them. I leaned back, watching him stew. You really want in on this game that badly? Hell yes, Ryan snapped. Even if I don't get the publishing rights, anyone but Marcus. That guy's a leech, he'll suck the soul out of it. I smiled faintly. But said nothing. I turned to Ryan. Hey, I've got a test key. Want to try it? His eyes went wide. Are you serious? You actually have one? I nodded. Yeah. Sending it now. As soon as he saw the message, he stared at his phone in disbelief. Wait, this is real, right? I rolled my eyes. It's just a test code, man. I've got as many as you want. Cut the crap. I'm trying it now. Like a shot, Ryan bolted toward the gaming room. Within minutes, he had the game installed and launched. When he punched in the code, and it worked, he nearly lost it. Holy shit. It's real. How the hell did you get this? I stayed calm. Told you. I've got plenty. Ryan peeked out from the room, his eyes sharp, his voice hesitant. Wait, what exactly did you just say? I didn't answer. Just smirked. Forget it, I said, heading toward the living room. But a few seconds later, Ryan caught up, half jogging to keep pace. No, back up. Did you just say you've got unlimited keys? Basically. He stared at me like he'd just uncovered buried treasure. You know the dev, don't you? I knew it. Dude, we've gotta talk to him, now. We could get in early, snag the publishing rights, maybe even invest directly. I shrugged, playing it cool. I know some of the devs. Kinda. Just then, my phone started ringing. Vanessa. I stared at the screen. Didn't feel like dealing with her, so I declined the call. Then it rang again. And again. 4 times in a row. She wasn't giving up. Left with no choice, I finally answered the call. Vanessa's voice hit me like a slap, loud, smug, laced with booze. Saw the news today? You think you're so damn important, don't you? Well, guess what, our company's doing better without you. We're about to acquire a brand new game, and it's gonna take us even higher. Eat your heart out. I stayed calm, voice flat. Then congratulations. Damn right, you should be congratulating me. She let out a little laugh, then added. Oh, and by the way, I'm with Marcus now. Actually, scratch that. I've always been with Marcus. Since college, in fact. The alcohol was catching up to her. I could hear it in every word. She was spiraling, drunk on both liquor and whatever twisted high she got from gloating. Quietly, I pressed record on my phone. Back in college, Marcus wanted your game. So he had me get close to you. That's right. All these years, it was just a front. Marcus and I. We've been together this whole time. Behind your back. Doing all kinds of things. She laughed again, sharp and mean. You must be pissed. Come on, admit it. You're seething, right? I didn't flinch. No. I'm not. Liar. You have to be going insane right now. But you can't do a damn thing about it. That's what's driving you nuts. You're powerless. Just screaming into the void. I could barely listen. Her words weren't painful, just pathetic. Oh, and I still have all our old photos. Wanna see how good Marcus and I look together? She didn't wait for a reply. A moment later, my phone lit up, ping after ping. Photo after photo. Vanessa and Marcus. In bed. At dinner. Holding each other. Kissing. She was really doing this. I didn't react. Just saved every image, one by one. She wasn't finished. Now you finally see what a joke you are, don't you? You're a loser. A goddamn loser. Her voice cracked as she spat those last words. Like she thought she'd landed some fatal blow. But I didn't break. Not this time. Last time, maybe, they had won. They'd pushed me off a cliff and watched me fall. But this life? This time, the story ends differently. Are you done? I asked calmly. Done, and feeling damn good about it, Vanessa snapped. Marcus and I? We're headed for the top. You? You'll rot in the shadows. I never loved you. I never even liked you. So did I said quietly. Then hung up. I stepped back inside from the balcony. Ryan was already waiting, practically vibrating with nervous energy, like he couldn't wait to unload something important. But I beat him to it. I'll save you the suspense, I said. I built the game. Boundless, it's mine. The words hit like a bomb. Ryan's mouth fell open. He stared at me like I'd just told him I was the reincarnation of Steve Jobs. Wait, what? Come again? You heard me. Boundless is my game. Now tell me, are you still interested in investing? He looked like he was about to leap off the floor. Interested? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm in. 100%. Good, I said. Here's the plan. Put together a mobile development team immediately. The PC version goes public next week. Without missing a beat, Ryan snapped to attention. Got it. You're the boss. Just tell me what you need. How much funding are we talking? How much do you have available? Liquid? Around $200 million. But I can get more. I'll call my father. Start by registering a new company. Move all your capital into a corporate account. I'll need a team built from scratch. Done. You won't have to worry about anything. I'll bankroll the entire thing. You just lead. And anything you need from me, say the word. He was talking fast, heart racing, afraid I might change my mind. But I didn't. I just said, let's sleep on it. Sleep? Are you insane? Who can sleep after something like this? Ryan was still pacing, high on adrenaline and future visions of success. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked into the bedroom. Of course, I couldn't sleep either. I logged into the game and saw that Marcus had sent me a flood of messages, requests to meet, talk, negotiate. I didn't reply. I kept working on the next phase of the game instead. Meanwhile, other companies started reaching out too. One after another, messages came in, offers, invitations, partnership inquiries. I declined them all. Because now, it was time to move into phase 2 of my payback. If they wanted to play the high-stakes game of performance-based investments, I'd make sure they lost everything. How? By stealing their player base, one gamer at a time. That night, I pushed a new in-game announcement. Public beta testing begins in 1 week. Within minutes, the chat lit up. Finally. OG status, baby. Count me in, this game's gonna blow up. This thing's a masterpiece. It deserves to be seen. Hype was building, and I wasn't done yet. Marcus, ever the opportunist, messaged again. He said Blue Wave Studios was fully ready to support the Boundless beta launch and eager to coordinate efforts. I couldn't help but scoff. Support? From him? I ignored the message. What I did notice, however, was that Blue Wave had begun piggybacking off the hype, advertising as if Boundless were their title. They had the audacity to include it in their press releases, hinting at collaborations and major announcements on the horizon. Let them talk. Let them ride the wave. The higher they climbed on borrowed glory, the harder they'd fall. And I was going to make sure the whole industry watched them crash. Meanwhile, Ryan was moving fast. I pulled another $300 million from the family office, he told me. We're fully funded. I've already locked down a workspace in Honolulu, and the new company's incorporated. I nodded. Efficient. I like it. Are you kidding? I've been pulling all-nighters on Boundless for the past few days. This thing is electric. Once we launch, it's going to explode. Just then, the TV flickered with a breaking segment, an interview with Marcus. There he was, all slicked back and camera-ready, suited up like a poster boy for corporate lies. The host asked, "Is it true your company is entering a strategic partnership with the game Boundless?" Marcus smiled, the kind of smile that was practiced in a mirror. "Yes, that's correct. We've been in extensive talks with the developers of Boundless. They're very impressed with our company. If everything goes as expected, we should be signing the deal soon." Ryan stared at the screen, jaw tight. Unbelievable. Absolutely shameless, he muttered. How do people like this exist? He just says whatever fits the narrative, truth be damned. I didn't flinch. Doesn't matter. You can call a press conference. We're launching early. He blinked. Wait, for real? Just like that? The team's in place. The customer support backend is up. We're ready. Ryan looked caught off guard for a second, but only for a second. Do you think I can't rally a crowd? Please. Give me half a day, I'll make it happen. Good, I nodded. Also, I'm going with you. His eyes lit up. Hell yes. Boundless wasn't just a game to me. It was a rebirth, a spiritual successor built from the ashes of the one they destroyed. This was the work of years. My legacy. Ryan suddenly burst out laughing. Can you imagine the look on Marcus's and Vanessa's faces when they see it? I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't care what their faces looked like. I just wanted them to fall. Hard. At exactly 3 p.m., the press conference began. No fluff. No staged drama. No fake smiles. Just the game. 1 hour of pure showcase. And when the open beta dropped, we went from 0 to over 1 million users, that same day. Even I hadn't predicted it would blow up like that. Gaming influencers and streamers latched on instantly. Their reviews poured in, glowing, excited, viral. Within a week, Boundless had surpassed 10 million players. Over the course of that week, I received more calls and messages from Marcus and Vanessa than I could count. I didn't answer a single one. They wanted to know what was going on. Why I hadn't told them about the new game. Why I'd left them hanging. Why I'd put them in this position. They demanded a face-to-face meeting. Marcus even had the gall to suggest we talk things through like professionals. I read their messages in silence and deleted each one. Then came the shift in tone. Vanessa, likely realizing just what she'd drunkenly sent me that night, started backpedaling. First came the apology. Then the tears. Then the voice messages telling me she'd never meant to hurt me, that she was so sorry, that she just wanted a second chance. I didn't reply. Not once. And while they scrambled, Boundless soared. Within a month, Blue Wave Studios' stock price was in free fall. Rumors of mass layoffs swirled online. Investors were jumping ship. Ryan came into my office one afternoon, amused. "Guess what?" he said. "We've had a handful of former Blue Wave devs apply here. I turned them all down." I gave him a look. "If any of them are good, bring them in. We don't throw out gold just because it came from a dirty river." He grinned. "Got it. I just like watching them sweat a little." He had a point. But I wasn't here to gloat. I was here to build. "Mobile's dropping next month," Ryan added. "Just got confirmation." When the mobile version launched, it exploded. 10 million users in the first week alone. Investors began circling us like hawks. Analysts pegged Boundless at a valuation north of $1 billion. It was almost too fast to process. That night, after leaving the office, I spotted a black car parked outside the building. I slowed my steps as the door opened. Out stepped Marcus. And right behind him, Vanessa. Gone was their polished, press-ready glow. Gone were the suits, the makeup, the smug entitlement. In their place stood two people stripped of everything but regret. Vanessa looked tired. Her face bare, her hair thrown up hastily. Marcus's shirt was wrinkled. His eyes darted as if still expecting someone to come save him. But no one was coming. Not this time. They stopped right in front of me. I looked at them both, stone-faced, unmoved. "What are you doing here?" Marcus didn't speak. He raised his hand and slapped himself across the face. Hard. "We were wrong," he said, voice trembling. "We did you wrong. Just give us a chance. Please." Vanessa's voice cracked. "If you don't help us, we're done. We have nothing left. Please, I'm begging you. Think about everything we've been through," she added. "Don't destroy us completely. Just give us a way out." "A way out?" I stared at them. "Did you ever give me one?" I bit back a laugh. Cold. Silent. "You're on your own," I said, voice like ice. "You dug this grave yourselves." I turned and started walking away. I'd taken only a few steps when I heard it. Thud. I turned slightly to see them both on their knees on the pavement, Marcus and Vanessa, begging, hands clasped like children, voices broken and desperate. It was almost pathetic. Almost. But I'd learned something the hard way. People who cry the loudest when they fall were often the same ones who never cared when they were standing on your neck. "Your downfall has nothing to do with me," I said flatly. "Not anymore." And with that, I walked away, feeling lighter, freer, sharper than I had in years. They tried reaching out again. Over and over. Letters. Emails. Showing up at events. I ignored them all. A year later, Blue Wave Studios collapsed completely. The investment deal had failed, spectacularly. They couldn't meet their earnings targets. The market pulled out. Debt piled up. Marcus cracked first. He jumped from a hotel balcony downtown. Died on impact. Vanessa followed not long after, mentally, at least. She was found wandering barefoot in the street, talking to herself. Her family had her committed. When I heard the news, I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No sorrow. No regret. Just the quiet certainty that the universe, at last, had settled the score.